Good morning, everybody. So, firstly, I must apologise. It started late. I slept in and then nothing worked. But, on the plus side, I'm here, coffee nearly in hand, and I've got this amazing top I'm wearing. What do you reckon? What do you reckon? So I thought, what could I use to cheer myself up and everybody on the stream this. So, bear with me because I'm still setting up here. Right. Right, dropping plectrums and everything. Turn my headphones up. Right, I think we're getting there. Let's have a look at the chart. God, so I'm sorry about sleeping in. And then almost 1,000. So, yeah. Stelly, hi everybody. So yes, hi Josh, hi Stelly, hi Mac, hi Sean, Gramps. Excellent. So, I still can't get my hair right. This must be hilarious. Right, because I've literally woke up. So it's been nothing but a disaster. One of my cameras I couldn't get to work. Then my hue lights logged me out. And then just had to wear this top. Yeah, Mona Lisa. I can't remember the company I got it off. I'll find out. But actually, it's the first time I've worn it and looked at it on a camera, and it's I don't know. What do you reckon? I'm quite impressed with the look of it. Looks pretty good. So today, with my freezing cold hands, we're gonna do. What are we doing? We're doing improvisation, aren't we? That's the plan. So, we'll get to it in a bit. So this week, today we're doing the lesson on, it's a bit of a starter on improvisation. Okay, I'm just going to go from the very, very basics, right, where I've talked about it on and off. Also, by the way, because we started late on the stream, I'll be ending later, right, because I don't need to shoot off this morning. So what we'll do is it's just going to be a bit of an improvisational primer, okay? But as we're going through this, just any questions, right? Do ask, right? There's nothing as a daft question. And it's really, music's a tricky one. I was watching actually just a Rick Graham question about, somebody asking him about, it's just a 4-minute video of him talking to the camera, and he was just answering somebody's question about hand position, and just the smallest details can be on your mind and, hold you back. This guy was talking about, should I keep a closed hand, open hand, So, a lot of these lives, those kind of questions that you may be thinking about, or you may be a little bit, I don't know if it's a silly question, don't feel uncomfortable typing in the chat, just put it in the chat, because everything is important, because what we want to do is just get stuff like that off everybody's minds, so it can be free. Okay. You'll have to excuse me, I'm a bit crazy when I first wake up. Right, let's get to it. So I'm going to need a guitar. And so as I say, do ask questions, because I don't absolutely 100% plan the guitar lessons. I just assume that I know what I'm doing and just go for it. But I think the best place to start with is just to say, right, okay, that one of the main things you do need to know, right, the first thing about improvising, okay, so I would assume that most of you probably know all of your scales. Some of you might know bits of scales, but ideally what we need to know is we need to know all of our scales across the fretboard, okay? But if you're kind of not sure of certain positions and things like that, with modes and things, I'll be covering that. That's okay. But the first thing that you want to get clear on is really the pentatonic scale. In particular, the minor pentatonic. I mean, that's how I kind of view. It's really weird because through my classical training and then having Yngwie Malmsteen as an very early influence, I didn't really do. I remember as a young kid, a lot of my stuff was in the first position, pentatonic scale, and everything else was, I knew the fretboard, which was really weird. But it was because of those influences. I was more concerned with Phrygian mode and the melodic minor scale than I was the pentatonic scale. So it was sort of like the other way around. And then sort of later on, coming back and listening to people like Richie Kotzen and Greg Howe, that's when I started, all right, I need to do pentatonic shapes. But I kind of approached it like a Yngwie thing and doing the 3 notes per string at a very, very early on in my career. In fact, it wasn't even a career because I was still at school. But but I think what I'd like to just propose really is just starting from the, if we're wanting to improvise, wanting to be modern and rock and fusion and all those kind of things, a good starting point is the pentatonic scale. So my favourite key to sort of playing and teaching is, I think it's probably E minor. Okay, E minor, F sharp, B minor. I sort of like those keys. I really like C minor and I like F minor as well, bizarrely enough. So the first thing is you're going to have to learn your pentatonic scale. Penta meaning 5 means there's only 5 positions. I'm sure you all knew that. And I'm just going to very quickly, just as a reference on this video, right, I'll just whiz through them, okay? So we can see what's going on here, right? All right, position 1. And this isn't with the blues, no, this is just regular pentatonic scale, because we're going to focus on position 1 after I do this, and then we're going to add layers to it. Okay, this is how we're going to think about it. So, position 1. Position 1. Now, if I'm going too fast, do say. Oh, hi Ergo, how you doing? Position 2. As I say, quickly going through it for reference. Position 3. Position 4. And position 5. And then finally, we're on position 1. And that is it. 5 positions, plus that position 1 an octave higher for good measure. So the first thing is to kind of learn those shapes. And another tip is, when you're learning these scales, it's quite elusive, the pentatonic scale. You might think, oh, right, yeah, the pentatonic scale is like a really easy scale to play and great to get about the fretboard. Well, I think it's really tricky. And I've spent ages fiddling on with fingerings for the pentatonic scale. So like one of the things is when you're practicing these positions, you know, you want to be practicing you want to be practicing you know, say 1 3 1 3 1 3. So that's quite an important stretch to be able to do that, because it keeps your forefinger available for other things, you know. And that's why when you're watching, you know, players like Tom Quayle and things like that, they're even playing sort of minor scales like this. So when this, you'll watch them when you play, actually, because I was noticed this the other day, because I've been watching a lot of his playing. You know, you'll get when you get like an E minor scale, those bits are like 1 2 3, sorry, 1 2 3 1 2 3, and he's keeping the forefinger available for other stuff. Okay, so it's something worth bearing in mind that you're gonna have to practice. You know, 1 3 1 3 1 for like the bigger, for the minor third intervals. Okay. All right then. Next bit that we're gonna do. So another thing to think about when improvising on the pentatonic scale is yeah. So mech, right? Yeah. So I always think of the shapes as 2 notes per string. Yeah, and that's a great starting point. Okay, but we are going to go at some point, and we might tip onto it today. We'll be going into this whole 3 note per string obsession that I have with it, because the real power of it is actually combining 2 note and 3 note phrases, so you get that really nice fluid, technical, you know, melodic phrasing, which is what we're all wanting. Yeah. So, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm obviously not warmed up at all on the guitar and haven't been able to put the heater on in the room. So, but I'll muddle through. We'll be alright. I'll tell you what, I'm loving this top. Do you think this top's too much? I'm quite into it. I'm enjoying it. Alright. I need to get my chat down here. I only learned Segovian scales, so when I say 3 notes per string, I'm not when I say the 3 notes per string, yeah. So I was a little bit the other way around, Gramps. That's what I was, the other way around. If you try and work with 3 notes per string, it can mess you up early. Just 2 seconds. Yeah, I mean, to a degree, yeah, in one way. It depends what you're trying to do. But yes. Right, top it standard. Oh, there's Des. Hi, Des, how you doing? I love this. That top is louder than 101 Marshall. Yeah, Anarchy in the UK on the top. I haven't looked at everything that's on this top. I hope it's all appropriate. I just visualize all 5 shapes through, though I'm only on 2 notes per string. It can really help to move up and down the neck, yeah, because we need to like join patterns and all this kind of stuff. It's a, you know, I don't know why I do this, but like again, the pentatonic scale, like hybrid picking, something I walked into think that'd be easy, probably, you know, and it's not. It's like the hardest thing, like the, you know, out of all the other scales, there's a lot. Even though it's like 2 notes per string and 5 notes, because of the limitations, then you all the time you're trying to solve kind of melodic improvisational problems that you're trying to do with it, you know. So anyway, the cool thing about the pentatonic scale, right, and it sounds good usually over everything that you're playing, is because you're hitting on chord tones all the time. So when we're talking about chord tones and intervals, right, a quick way that I do it, that I think about it, is I just number your notes of your scale. So if you have C major scale being all the white notes on the keyboard, okay, we're just numbering them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, and then we're back to the octave. So that's all we're doing with our scale. And the reason we number them is because the numbers don't change. When we're talking about letters of a scale, depending on what key we're in, all the letters change, so it's way more confusing. So we're talking about intervals. So if I say, all right, let's have the interval of, a third, okay, it's just 1, 2, 3, isn't it? It's just C and E. So that's, what's going on there. So on the minor pentatonic scale, in E, we're landing on a lot of chord tones, okay? In fact, we're landing on most of them. So we have this, right? We have E, which is the root, and then we have a minor third, and then we have a fourth. So you think you're like your sus4 there, and then we've got a fifth, and we've got a seventh, and we're back to the root, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, root. And then we can end on the third there. And then that completes the whole 6 strings, all neat and tidy. I mean, actually, if you look at them, if you play like a minor 7 chord, you can actually see and you visualize sort of the scale. You can see like how it sort of fits over the top of it. So that's the first thing. So, if you're ever in doubt and you're just doing your noodling about, that rhymes. Basically we can play that now. Let me have a look. For a little example, right, we can just have a listen to the intervals of the notes, right? So I did prepare a little track last night, a little jam track. All right, so here we go. Root, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, so we can hear there that all the notes work, but how to get it to work even better, right? And I picked this up off Guthrie Govan. Sounds like I had him, when I say that, sounds like I had him round for a cup of tea. I didn't. I just watched one of his tutorials. And he talked about this very, very insightful thing about tension and release. And as you know, I'm all about tension and release in music. And I mean, it's what music is all about, isn't it? Building tension and release. Can you talk about mixing pentatonic and 3-ups? Yes. I'll get onto that. So, just some stuff in the chat. Let's have a quick check. So I visualize all 5 shapes, even though I'm only on 2 notes per string, then it can really help move up and down the neck. Brilliant. Moon Turtle. Can you talk about mixing pentatonic and 3? Of course I can. I think that's going to be another lesson. Technically, you only use 3 notes per string for favour of a mode. That's how I think of it. I'm completely free of any note groupings now. Thank God for that. But yes, it's one way. Otherwise, stretches get weird and hard. Embrace the stretches. I am. Like, anything goes. Really, honestly, anything goes with the stretches, you know. If it gets you there, and because at the end of the day, solos and improvisations and like coming up with licks are like mini compositions, aren't they? And you can practice them and you can throw them out. So, you know, like sometimes when I'm improvising, I'll think like one note melodies, and then other times I might think of like a group of notes, but that's like one word, so to speak. But my ear's familiar with all these things. It's not like I'm in the dark. I'd know that sound. And I can sing it really fast in my head. So I know when I get to a point and I've got to put in something a little bit more shreddier, that I can put something in like that. Or I know that there are certain shapes and patterns, like lots of them, that I can link together that will make a melodic idea, that the contour of them kind of works with the music, so I can like hear it in my head. And that's another important thing is, I mean, to be perfectly honest, right, so I do a lot of improvisation, right, and sometimes, like, at work, it's like I'm not improvising, I'm like, I go somewhere else. It's almost like operating the machine. So I know what it's like to just completely ignore what's going on around you, the music almost, and just play on autopilot, you know? Because like being, you know, when you play, and I mean, when I'm improvising, like sometimes it can be in a 2 hour, longest intensive interaction session I've done is 3.5 hours. So you've got it, you can't, like, nobody can mentally withstand that. And I've tried to, so you go somewhere else. So I know what the daydreaming thing's like. Or if you're under pressure and you're in front of an audience, sometimes you just think about the terror of screwing up, and then that becomes like an obsessive thought in your head. So, in other words, self-one, and you focus on that, and then you're not listening to the music, okay? So you're not singing the tune in your head to the music. But actually, if you know, I do actually sing, and that really kind of helps me when I'm tuned into the music, because, you know, I can sing melodies, and I can phrase things in my head, and play them on guitar pretty much. And even if I don't get close to it on the guitar, I'm not bothered that mistake, which won't be a mistake, it'll still be something in tune most of the time, will lead me to somewhere else. But the point of this is you just want to be using your ear and your mind and just playing like a singer would sing. Like if you were going to sing over it like a song with words, we want the melody. So, so that bearing in mind, let's just get this back to something that's more, you know, even more scientific than that, okay? So I was talking about the Guthrie Govan thing, and what he was talking about is like each note of the pentatonic scale is like a tension of notes, right? So if we think about it, the least amount of tension would be the root, okay? Because we're resolving, we are home. So if I play, you know, improvise on phrases that start and end on that, okay, the root, we're going to sound nice and complete. So start on the root. All right, for example. So, not very much tension there, okay? And obviously, in terms of language, because music is a language, a lot of the time when we're improvising, we're thinking about call and response phrases. So, in other words, a question, and then you're answering. So you're hearing that there, aren't you? You know, when I'm playing a phrase, it's a call, it's a question, and then an answer. Okay, dead easy. So we're thinking about that. So right, this is a really good observation here. I'm not really big into jazz, but they say jazz improvisation is essential. I mean, I don't sit and improvise jazz over like the real book with the jazz standards. Having said that, when I was at college, I had to do that. Okay, I did do that, and I just wanted to rock really, but I did it, and I'm glad I did it. And my heart and soul wasn't into it, but I was aware that this other thing was there. Because with me, I just focus in. I mean, it's a style thing as well. Okay, so what you got to remember, I think. I mean, there's this argument. Is like, is it a useful thing to go and study, right? Music as an artist in today's world, right? And I mean, I'm like pro education, right? Okay, pretty much. However, what I would say is when you're in education, what you're doing is you're generalizing, okay? And again, I feel that system of generalization until you get to a master's level, okay? When you get to a master's, that's when you can start specializing and formalizing things, And when I did mine, I wasn't even playing a guitar or anything. I mean, I was doing this crazy music concrete music. Like music concrete was what I was specializing in, and that's another thing that I'll have to talk about on a live because that's really interesting, like period of my career. But so you're generalizing and you're not specializing, which isn't a solution to the problem that I see in the music landscape today, in the music industry. The music industry needs another, we need more unique music. We need another Nirvana to just like bleach everything, to make an explosion, to create something different. I mean, we've got the rise of AI. We've got all this stuff happening, which is wonderfully exciting. But now, more than ever, is a time to really focus in on your in your instrument. But more so, explore who you are through that instrument and have that as the primary focus. Not the primary focus being, I need to learn all my modes and I need to learn all these scales. It's really thinking about how you want to express yourself and what music resonates you. And then from the problems that creates through the creation of that music, then that's your guiding light to what you should be learning. So, I mean, I do what I'm doing because, I started as a shredder, classically trained, and that's kind of carried on, and I've continued with that. But the jazz thing, the way I treat it now is because I get very bored of what I'm doing all the time on my playing, and it is kind of focused, at least to feel that it's focused to my stylish. I have a style emerging. That to what I don't want to do is for that style to just be rinse and repeat, because what can happen is you become more and more narrow focused till almost like everything disappears and you're just so repetitive. It's just nonsense. In other words, to expand it, I have been looking into like jazz fusion. So some of you may have noticed that there's a bit of chromaticism dropped into my playing, and that's just another way of creating tension release. So by looking at other genres, not just jazz, and pulling in different components and then working out how those components can serve your idea of what you're wanting to do with your connection. Remember the zones of experience, everybody? We're always focusing at the top. Why am I doing this? What is the purpose? What is this for? Okay, it's never an idea of I need to do this because that's what I've been told to do. Always challenge everything. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay. But you'll probably end up learning all your modes and scales anyway. Right. Morning, Jeff. Even with the advent of AI, I believe that it still has to have an understanding of how sound works. Music theory will remain essential. Just my opinion. Of course, music theory will remain essential. But what I'm more concerned about is making sure that when people learn music theory is a skill focus, that it is directly connected to their connection. Okay? How do you practice changing keys for improvisation? Just learn your patterns as best as you can in each position, but more fun is sticking a backing track on and then just picking a position, like with the pentatonic scale, if you pick a position that you're not comfortable in, and then start jamming with that, you start trying to find connections with that pattern, and just force yourself into so if you're not comfortable in position 2, just start improvising in position 2, okay, and try and get the feel of position 2, like the feel of position 1, because everybody's like super confident in position 1, but we want to get that feel in like other positions, don't we? So that's a really good fun way of doing it. I think you're looking for certain things. Look at different instruments for vibratos. Yeah, absolutely, all of that. Saxophonists, it's a really popular thing for guitarists to do that. Look at the saxophone, jazz for ideas. Yeah, we've been using AI feature innuendo on original song sketches. That's very interesting. Greetings, Perplexity. How are you doing? I learned it ages ago, the circles of fifths. Not sure if I know it now at all. I'd have to look at it. But I haven't been using it, and I'm still here. That's all I can say. But don't worry about learning things if you don't know them. You should know them. When I was younger, I was into shred type stuff, but now I only want to hear and play jazz. Something, but just thought it kind of hurt. It's funny because I'm really sensitive to loud, distorted stuff at the minute. I don't know what it is. But old Shrapnel records, like Greg Howe's first album or Richie Kotzen's, like really hurts my ears. The great comedy of guitar is no matter where you are on the neck or what position, you're still going to have the same 5 notes. Absolutely. And these are very, very important notes. The pentatonic scale, all right, if you look at Leonard Bernstein's Harvard lectures, just the first one, he talks about harmonic series and syntax. Now, harmonic series basically is, when you play one note, you get, and you look at it on a spectrum analyzer, that there's a series of spikes in that spectrum. And those spikes are pretty much the pentatonic scale. But if you look at that, he goes through it in a really interesting way, and it's a marvellous set of lectures, and I recommend everybody watching them. So that's Leonard Bernstein's Harvard lectures from the 70s. One day I want to be able to talk like he does about music. It's incredible. And I'd love to have a live streaming setup like his setup in the 70s. It's excellent. Right, how do you break out of running from the pentatonic when you improvise? I feel like I'm stuck in the minor pentatonic and major scale when I'm playing. Right, I'm going to come to all of these on... Right, these are really good, so I'm going to come to these... if I don't tip onto it today, I'm going to come to these in another stream. All right, okay, so... different tensions. So that was the root tension, and we're moving up. Third it can sound quite melodic. So let's have a listen to the third. Increasing the tension. So the third is the note G. Oh, that sounds nice. So notice it still wants to have, it wants to resolve to the root, but I'm not letting it. So it makes a great answer. But it's one to go. Hold on, here's the answer. It's one to go at the root. And that's the feeling that we're trying to push into the listener, as we're trying to keep them on the edge, aren't we? By playing a phrase that sounds incomplete, because you want them to go, well, what's next? Okay? And then you've got a choice. You can either play something like that again, increase the tension, so like, this is unbearable, and then release it by going to the root or another sympathetic note that's going to give you that resolved feeling, okay? So that's what we're thinking. We're thinking about the tension and release, okay? Another really fun thing to do, which I do sort of in my coaching program with people, is an exercise that we'll do. Is there's a thing called, I take people through direct listening exercises. And one of those direct listening exercises is listening to your piece of music or a piece of music. And even though you're hearing the music, noticing the tension release in your body. And I think this is an incredibly fun thing to do when you're playing guitar. And I haven't heard anybody talking about this. I have to put that cliche on the internet, right? It's just playing, right? Okay? And enjoying the tension and release in your body. And play with that, okay? All right, and then, okay, we've got some stuff. You get really good results switching from major to minor. If you just get smashed around one major scale, you're not going to have much fun. There we go. Yeah, key changes are good. But we can also modulate within a key as well, cycling around modes. Again, I think that's going to be another stream, isn't it? It's a big subject, improvisation, isn't it? So anyway, we're up to the third. Moving on very quickly, we've got the fourth. Fourth has the most tension. It's just like, it's like... See there? So I'll start from the fourth. You want it to go somewhere else. You're wanting, in other words, when you're on that fourth, it's the highest amount of tension where the listener is wanting some sort of resolve to it. Yeah, when you've had a bad day... When you've had a bad day, just throw in the flat 5 for real. Yeah, so we're going to go through the layers, okay? And we'll do the flat 5. Second, third. All right. And then finally, we're up to the... Well, not finally, we're up to the 5th. So, 5th, B. Again, it resolves really nice, the B. So, with the B note, and I'm keeping everything in the box and trying not to move out of it for this, the demonstration, the B note resolves really nicely. It's like a root to me. You know, it's like not much tension. And if you're not quite wanting to go to the root because it sounds a little bit too cliched, you can always go to the 5th, which is the next thing, you know, to do. Start my day with augmented. Why not? All right, and then we've got the 7th. Again, not massive amounts of tension there, but again, wanting to resolve. So I have all of these different tensions, gradients of tension between notes, but our main sort of points of resolution or root in the 5th by the looks of it. 3rd is a nice melodic start for people. Okay, that's a nice way to start a phrase. The 4th contains the real loads of tension, yeah. And then the 7th is sort of like there along with the 4th in terms of tension. However, that's how I perceive it. Other people may perceive it differently, right? Anyway, we'll move on. Okay. So, for my kind of style of playing, I came across the hexatonic scale. So there are a couple of ways we can view the hexatonic scale. You can start looking at all 5 positions of the pentatonic scale and making a hexatonic scale out of it, which to me is like suddenly thinking of a pentatonic scale and then a hexatonic scale as a separate entity. I don't like that. That doesn't sit right in my head. So what I like to think of it, to make the 5-note scale, pentatonic scale, into a hexatonic scale, we're adding 1 note, and that is the ninth, the second and the ninth. So it's the ninth we're adding, really. So our pentatonic box, and then what we're adding is this. We're adding an F sharp, okay, and then a G. So that's our second. So we've got 1 in the minor. We've got 1, second, 4th, major second, okay, and then it's a pentatonic scale, and then we've got another one here, and we've got another one here. So that 9th note is occurring just in this box here, here, and here. And visually, just kind of adding that in there is a better way for me to think about it, and then I can wheel that note out whenever I want. But the 9th, like, I love it. It sounds dead melodic, and it's just a great way. Like, if you, like, sometimes when I'm playing the pentatonic scale, all right, it can get really, really, predictable. But if I want to get predictable, right, but in a nice softer way, unpredictable in a nice softer way, and just add a different flavour in there, then the 9th note is a great way to do it, right? So, the other thing is, while I'm here, just anybody here who hasn't done the thumbs up, if you can do the thumbs up for me, that would be great. And anybody who hasn't subscribed, please subscribe. That would be great. And I'll get more tops like this. This top's great. I'm really into it. I think this might be a love or hate kind of thing for people, but I do think the top's marvellously good. I think that looks great. Brilliant. It's cheered me up. I still feel bad about being late on this session though. Okay, so the 9th. Let's have a listen. Oops. So anyway, hands are freezing, they're like stuck to the fretboard. So that's where, yeah. So that is the minor, that's the 9th note, adding that in. Okay, everybody follow along. Oh, Sean, there we go. Making me feel better. Thank you. There we go. Don't feel bad about being late when you show up with that shirt. You make your own schedule, yeah. Right, I'll just have some of my coffee. I even tried to get the cup to match. So, like, you know, out of all the priorities was to get on the stream as quick as possible. I put this shirt on and then got a matching cup and made the coffee, then started setting up. See, like, the priorities are completely upside down. Oh, God, but I'm dehydrated. I just literally got out of bed and I've turned up here. I dread to think what the back of my hair's like. It's like, should we have a look? Oh my God. Look at that. And I don't like using a brush on it. I have to sometimes though. Right, anyway. Horror hair. What was I thinking? All right, everybody following along. I haven't lost anybody because we've got the 9th in. We're building the layers up. Now, this is the foundation, okay? We're going to get to the good stuff at some point. But I'll give a few like little kind of tips and things, all right? But we've got quite a lot on here. Get nice and fluent in all the positions using the 9th. And then finally, as Ergo was saying, you know, we want in the flat 5. So the flat 5, very interesting note, because we're talking about jazz and stuff like that. And, you know, I think the flat 5 is like the most out of tune note ever. Like, have a listen. But, you know, this is your entry into playing outside, isn't it? Think of it that way. If you can use the flat 5, which most of you will all be able to do, there's no reason why you can't start doing outside stuff. It's just getting your ear used to the sound, isn't it? So obviously, the flat 5 is a note of not of equal importance. It's a passing note, isn't it? So we've got this. So, again, we've got our 9th note. Maybe we should share the channel on our social. Alright, what's going on? Well, sharing this channel would be lovely. On social, great. So, phone problems. I've had a whole like studio not working problem. In fact, like then this morning, right, when I got up talking about priorities, then none of my hue lights would work and I had to re-register them and sort the hub out upstairs. And then this camera wouldn't switch on. I was like, you know, probably something I did. Right. Okay, everybody following. Any questions? We've been pretty active in the chat, so I think we're all good there. Now, any questions about what we're doing so far? Cool. So, in terms of three note per string ideas, this is where I go off like in a tangent because like I'm just thinking about things that people have said in the chat, and the 3 note per string idea comes up. Basically, what you're doing, right? The starting point for that is we're just like mixing positions like 1 and 2 together, or 2 and 3, 3 and 4, but you're using 2 positions. Good, it's crystal good. Right, I like this because ideally, like this video is the primer. It's the one you'll go to, and then I'll continue on forever, right, with this subject. Probably going back to bits and going into more detail. Yeah. But when we're talking about fretboard visualization, actually, a thing that will help you is visualizing 2 patterns together. Okay. And that's dead easy. So, like, all you're doing is you're mixing position 1, with position 2. Okay, and then we end up with this. So we've got, the way I finger it is, and I think it's probably the only way you can do it, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. Okay, and there we have 3 notes per string. The only caveat, which isn't really a caveat because you can come up with sort of interesting like rhythmic variations, is that you've got a repeating note. But there's like lots of things we can do, you know, with that, you know, when you move it into other positions. See, a little bit now I'm breaking out of my box. I can, like, it's hard playing just in one area. But the reason I'm finding it hard to play in one area is because I'm not limiting myself. So this is another practice before we get on to the fancy stuff, and I'll just show you those two little patterns. Just try doing a solo with 2 notes. You know, again, coaching group, we love limitations. Like, if you impose a limitation, you know, then it's something to break out of. And when you've got that kind of imposing limitation, that's when you start getting into your subconscious for the great ideas, all right? When we're thinking about improvisation, okay, we've got, like, layers of thinking, haven't we? 2 mainly. We've got conscious and unconscious. And I think the problem is when we're consciously thinking about the music, that's when, you know, self-one can come in, or we're doing the muscle memory things. We're very conscious, I have this idea, and it comes out. But the subconscious is where all the limitless possibilities are that you'll be able to do. That's where you'll step on something. You might even make a mistake, but you'll come up on an idea and you go, oh, where did that come from? But to get into that subconscious, usually if we impose a creative limitation on what we're doing, it's going to promote that, okay? And that's a great way. And that simple idea, you can scale up. If you just think about the whole pentatonic thing and the way that sort of I've put this together in layers, that's what you're looking for, an idea from the subconscious, and then you can apply conscious thinking to it, all right? Just like what I'm doing here, just by getting the pentatonic scale, and then I'm bored of it, I'm going to add a 9th, because that sounds melodic and it's all trendy these days, so I'll do that, right? I've got the flat 5. Let's put the flat 5 in for a little bit of outside, a little bit of quick sort of flavour in there, okay? It's a passing note. It's the first of the sort of chromatic thing that everybody commonly gets to grips with. But these are like layers being scaled up round a very simple idea. Okay, so think of it like that. That makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. Right. Okay, licks. All right, ascending lick. Okay, legato. You can do it economy picking, but we'll do legato. All it is this. All right, I'm just going. It's a triplet. 1, 2, 3, and then that's it. And then you just play that up the scale. Sorry, my hands are freezing. So we're just going 1, 4, 3. I'm referring to the fingers. 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2. Very important to use 1, 4, 2 because we're preparing for other eventualities in our improvisation. And that's that ascending thing. Sounds great. Okay. And then the ascending bit, descending. Okay, it's this. So you can just do your scale like that, and the pattern is, and that's it. Okay. One thing I would suggest, if you haven't seen the legato videos before, like, wasn't as popular, all right? But there's a few quite important things that I don't want people to miss out on that second one. And a lot of it was like, you know, what this hand's doing, what your right hand's doing. Sorry, I have really bad dyslexia, right? So, like, I get confused between left and right. Even though I've been using my left and right hands all my life, it's like one of the things of it, you know, like if I'm driving a car and people are turning left, like sometimes I just got to point because my brain just like really struggles processing it. Anyway, right hand, okay. Because you might get on an acoustic guitar, right? Hammers only. No, I mean, I can pretty much do it. But if I've got a big shift playing guitar all day, you wanna have a little bit of help. So just very bluntly, what I'll tend to do is I'll do picking and hybrid stuff, ascending, and then when I'm descending stuff, it's always the pick. Okay, and it's like a sweep. So what I would do is, you know, and this hand will just come in. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to disguise the attack of the pick, so it sounds dynamically like a finger. In other words, a finger on this hand. Okay. Right, so we've got some kind of licks there. All right. Hi DJ Rock. So again, anybody who isn't subscribed, do please subscribe. Okay. And like, because it's not often I teach. You know, this is I mean, it's loads of fun. But if you know, I'm doing a shift here. You know, can I stop for a little coffee break? Like, this is the closest to work you can get on a live stream. But very important, because obviously I want to. Coaching things great, but we're talking about skill deficits. So I'm hoping I'm filling in a few blank areas with people. You know, if they're struggling, or they're just, you know, sometimes you just want confirmation that, you know, somebody else is thinking the same way you are. And one of the things with playing an instrument, right, is it takes absolutely shitloads of time to do, right? You're investing time into something, and from a business point of view, right, like, time's the most expensive commodity, isn't it? So part of learning music is actually just making mistakes, isn't it? And there's no time back guarantee. You're not going to ever get your time back. So it's important that whether we do something right or wrong, that we get the data, okay? So we get our own feedback on that data. Stuff that we do, that we review, we can learn off. Now, having a review process is very, 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 very important. I spent a few hours yesterday doing legato from your teaching, little pinky hammer-ons from nowhere across the strings. My hand feel it this morning. Yeah, get used to the feeling. All right, so review process. So those of you who are on here who've been coached from me will know what I'm talking about. And what I'm talking about is wins. I'm trying to say it as a word. Wins, problems, and opportunities. Okay? And free writing. You need to free write these things. So after you do your your session, It's like usually after I do a live session, I'll do a wins, problems, opportunities. I'll write, the first thing you do, right, is you write down what's gone well. All right. So some of you, because what you find when I'm coaching people is we tend to be, as human beings, negatively programmed. So if I ask somebody, what were your wins? Most of the time, if they're early to coaching, they'll start like talking about problems straight away. It's like they didn't hear me say wins. And I have to take people back and say, what is positive? Well, why is it important to start off with something positive when you're reviewing? Okay? It's because it's going to put you in a good space, and it's going to make you realize the things that are going well and the things that you can develop. Okay? The things that you have got. All right? Often we're too focused in the downside of things. Okay? And there's going to be plenty of time to focus on the problems, but we're going to focus on the problems with the correct mindset. And what you're going to do is you're going to practice focusing on problems like a scientist. All right? Is a scientist bothered whether an experiment wins or fails? No. They just want the data. They have an idea, I'm going to do X, and they do it, and if it doesn't work, they think, right, we're going to modify and correct and do it again. And often I feel that builds a lot of excitement, okay, and I get really, really fired up by doing regularly wins, problems, and opportunities. So when you write your wins, free writing, like this, that, and the other, it could be, a win doesn't have to be, because then a lot of you will probably think winning is a very sort of formal, physical thing that happened on the guitar, like, my second finger was like really, really good. But talk about how you were feeling, because the inner game is as important as the outer game. The outer game being the guitar, the player, the technical thing that's going on. But how we feel in the moment is just as important. That is also something that we need to practice. We need to practice what's going on in our heads, okay, to be super effective as somebody who's going to improvise, because improvising is the highest of art forms, in my opinion, okay? And it's also the hardest, because we're using this as a language, aren't we? So make sure you put something positive, and I don't care how negative you think it is, there's always something positive, not just in your playing, but in life, okay? Then you go into your problems, and when you're talking about your problems, what we're looking for is, again, you can free write, so you can go ballistic with this. Oh, I don't know, I feel really terrible. Oh no, my hand doesn't work. All these kind of things. You can write all your problems down. And then what you're going to do is, on opportunities, you're going to pick out the problems that you have. You're going to order them in what you think is the priority. And this is important. If you think of it on a slider, we have, things we can do that are certain and things that we can do that are uncertain. So there'll be certain problems that, you think you can solve, all right? But what we're looking at is we're looking at problems, okay, that are the biggest problems. And this is important to be able to identify. And usually you'll find that's the things that you're really uncertain about. And this takes a little bit of practice. Listing problems, okay, and then working out the priority problems. Because in theory, what actually happens if you identify correctly the priority problems, a lot of the lower level problems will disappear because you'll have solved them with the first problem. So that's another thing to bear in mind. And all of this, sitting down, just 5 minutes doing this, wins, problems, and opportunities regularly, like every time you do a practice, okay, is going to save you so much time, because the route to success is actually knowing what you're going to do next. And that's when we have the certain and uncertain scale. As usually when we're playing and we're practicing, we want to be in the uncertain zone to a certain degree, because a lot of times we'll just pick a guitar and we'll play what is certain, because it's comfortable and it's somewhere we can go, and we're not really getting as big a gains as we can as if we're practicing something that we're not good at. Your practice is meant to sound really shit, right? Because you're meant to be dealing with things that are uncertain. I'm just going to check on the chat. Yeah, maybe we should share your channel on social media pages and ask our friends to follow you, and that would be amazing. That would be great, because I'm like, I'm like really like, oh, 1,000. But actually, the thing I need is the watch time. The watch time. Would it be possible to share that backing track on your Discord server after the stream? It is, but it's just a quick live jam that I spent like literally as quick as it was to play each part doing. But of course, I'll put it up there, and it will be there. But what I'll do is I'll just show you how I put it together. Even better. Again, so we're into the realms of, because we're into the realms of education, right? There's a lot of things I can teach on here. I mentioned I'm all about uncertainty, because I know that's where the biggest gains are. I know helping people with uncertainty, that's where they're going to get the most leverage in their careers, all right? However, certainty is really popular, isn't it? Because I can sit here and, give you that lick, and then you're certain that all you have to do is practice it, put a bit of time, and I've got that lick, okay? But it's not the answer to everything. But it is fun, and I am enjoying the teaching. So live looping is going to be one of the things I'm going to take people through, my setup, and take it as far as I possibly can in terms of maybe like you lot being able to set up in some capacity to do your own live looping, because I think it's that's an important part of practice. And again, right, in the community on this YouTube channel, and also my Discord, so if you join the Discord as well, I do look at it, just sometimes I'm that busy because I'm like literally fully booked as a music coach, right? Saying that though, I do need spaces on my coaching group, but booked as the one-to-ones. If you put in the community things that you want me to cover, all right, because I just woke up and went, no, it didn't. It was Josh said, or was it Timmy, or was it was somebody had said, was it Mylogify, said everybody would want to know about improvisation. So that's why I'm here doing improvisation, and I'm just stripping things and going back to a basic sort of thing that most of you will know, but it's reaffirming, isn't it? Hi, Stelly. I already did. I'm not sure of the impact, though, because I don't have any. You've got lots of friends, Stelly. I'm your friend. Josh, Sig. Awesomeness. I have a long pinky. Yeah, maybe. I wonder if it's like my hands got stretched as a kid playing, as an 8-year-old playing guitar. Just did. Great. Hell yeah, drink coffee. Spent a few hours. Alright, I think I read that. Super spot on. Super spot on. Thanks, Sean. You are an amazing teacher and, of course, a musician. Well, before I came officially trained as a music coach, I mean, there's always been this kind of mindfulness element to what I do, because, I've been working within the healthcare system as a musician for like God knows how many years. So I've always had like this very sort of like weird kind of dynamic teaching approach. So like this kind of teaching thing, I kind of like I've done. That's why I probably don't even bother. Like I don't even bother really planning it. It's sort of there. So I'm glad that you're enjoying it. But as I say, coaching's where it's at. Positive mental attitude. Olympic athletes have the same methodology. So yeah, right. So Handy, part of when I was being coached, we had this, and it lasted for about 6 months. We had this searching for flow group, right? And we were kind of making an album. And so it ended up that I was reading a lot about sports psychology and extreme sports psychology, and one of the books that like jumped out that was a fun book, because of course I'd go for the most funnest one, was Rise of Superman by Stephen Kotler. So a lot of the stuff on the coaching side is inspired by extreme sports athletes and what they go through and their process and how they access flow. And then Stephen Kotler very eloquently takes us through, I think it's the 17 conditions of flow. Not all of them are applicable to a solo artist, because a lot of them like to do a group. But there are certain triggers that we can use to get us into there. And a lot of things I'll tell people to do, especially sensory things, will be based around some of that, where when we're getting in flow, we're not worrying about playing wrong notes or anything like that. We're just completely embodied and focused on the task at hand. But as I say, the inner game, which I have to keep mentioning, is as important as the outer game. Just we get obsessed with the outer game, and I think it's because it's attached to products, and that's where the certainty is. It's like physically something that's happening. Knowing that you're winning is knowing that you're going in the right direction. Well, the thing is, just going in any direction is fine. Ergo, Chris. So yes, you're right. But what if something happens and it takes you and it deviates? At the same time, we want to be flexible enough to be able to, it's never a straight path when we're talking about creativity. It's the flexibility of going down somewhere and finding a dead end and then being able to come out of that and to re-navigate, so to speak. Josh, how do you fix your short pinky? Don't worry about it. Just modify your playing to compensate. I mean, can you do that stretch? You can do that stretch, you're fine. You can do that stretch, you're fine. You can do that stretch, you're fine. So I wouldn't worry about it. It's not gonna hurt you too much. But a lot of it's stretching. I find there's a lot more. I've accessed a lot more flexibility in my hand lately. So I've been doing those weird arpeggios. This is like another version of a pentatonic scale. So basically, I'm in position one. So this will be position 5 of the pentatonic scale, starting on the 5th string, or you could think of it as position 3 in E minor. And this is a weird format of a pentatonic thing going on. You could call it an arpeggio, but it's kind of not really. All right. So, but it's like got a bit of a stretch to it. Oh. That stretch. So I really like the sound of that. There's a little demonstration. So that's a little bit, so that flex, I found, I've been able to develop that a bit better. So I have to warm up into it. Or you're going to hurt yourself, but... Hi, Guitar. How are you doing? Guitar, if you can come over to my YouTube channel, it's just Tim Hutch, and subscribe to my YouTube. That would be... amazing. That would be amazing. I'll be forever and glad. Brainstorming opportunities. So regards to wins, problems, opportunities. Brainstorming opportunities. Yeah, free writing for each problem. Write down as many opportunities as you can. As many solutions to the problem. And we love problems. Problems are good. Always think of problems. Great. When I find, sometimes like when we're playing guitar and we're up there and we're going, I'm on form. We're not as aware of problems. And then suddenly we're aware that our playing's complete crap. And that's when I start getting excited, because then what I do is I analyse like what is actually going wrong. And then when I find something, you know, it's because your awareness is increasing about your playing, I think. Is that as long as you can find the problem and you can describe and explain it, then you're going to find a solution. And also it's great when you go to a guitar teacher, because you accurately, you know, if you don't know what the answer is, then you've, you know, specifically, you've done the diagnostics for them, and you can say, I've got this problem and this is what I need to do, and they'll immediately know what you need to do to solve it. So we want to be proactive about being a learner. That's what I like to see. Learners who absolutely 100% take responsibility for themselves and do this. I don't know how to do X. And instead of it being broad, very, very specific. It's so helpful for a teacher to do that, because you can just nail it. And the teacher would know if that was a problem, that may not be the problem. And there are problems underneath problems that need actually fixing before they get there. But it's immediately a pathway can be developed to sort that. So that's really, really important, is to be able to describe and explain what you're doing in music. My ring finger is abnormally long, high, amplifies shortness. Which is your ring finger? I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, I would imagine you can just angle, you can hand angles, okay? We're all different, just you use your hand the way that it needs to be used, all right? And it might be, right, that you focus in, like if you had a really strange hand, not saying that you have, it may mean that there are creative opportunities there that'll push you in a direction that other people aren't. You know, at the top of my head, like, you know, Frank Gambale with his like sweet barring stuff, you know, like the finger rolling thing. Not saying that he's got weird hands or anything, but you know, it could be something like that. Okay. On Facebook, thank you, Stelly. In fact, I should start streaming on Facebook as well. Yeah, I have a broken string. Oh, never mind. Oh, so Thomas, I got a birthday present off him. See what he got me. Strings forever. That's brilliant, isn't it? He's probably saying change your strings a bit more though. Just get the Paul Gilbert mini guitar. It's the one. Ah, brilliant. Thanks, Stelly. Josh, that mini Paul Gilbert guitar seems fun as hell. I need to see that. I have to rotate my wrist. Is that like... So I've had a bit of stiffness in my wrist, but when I'm playing, the more you play, the more it's going to sort itself. I tend to just, you know, play more. That's my warm-up. Yes, I know. It's absolutely brilliant. Honestly, it's just what I needed. Yeah, so handy. I would have to say, like, this is the thing, right? You know, I can sit here teaching and offering, like, all this information to people, but the one thing we're going to miss off here is the fact that you need constant feedback from the teacher to, you know, in a room or across a Zoom call, who can just, you know, point you in the right direction in terms of, I would have to see your hands and I'd have to see your guitar and like how you're playing. And but you know, if you know, potentially I could try and find a slot for you for a lesson in the coming weeks if you wanted to. You can send me an email and then maybe we can book in for a lesson, because obviously it's like something you're thinking about, and we've talked about it here, so maybe I can help you with that. Oh, ergo. I have a Paul Gilbert. I have a Gilbert micro and sophon, especially with the wild bends. But cheap guitar and new nut and lock tuners are a must. You're good. You're aware of the issue. Great. Excellent. Right. So, how we're doing for time? Any other questions? And I'll do one more kind of fun type, because we've had a couple of licks. I've given you the overview. So there's one arpeggio I love playing with my pentatonic, okay? And I do love the G9, okay? Why do I like it? Well, the reason I like it, and we're going to expand this, is because it's got all the notes of the pentatonic and the hexatonic scale pretty much. But it just gives you a nice sort of other alternative fingering for limitations to improvise on. So it's nice to access. Access the yes. But there's a lot of things we can do with that. We can start adding other notes into it. So at the minute we've got this. That's our G9, okay? And then we're just going to add in a few notes in between. So we can put 3 notes here. We're still going to have 1 note here. 3 notes there. And then we've got this really extended 13 arpeggio. So that's another thing we can do is that, and it's basically it's a 3-1-3 combination. Now, if we want, we can. It's really good. I mean, initially when I came up with this sort of thing, it was legato, and then I just it's a really good candidate for economy picking. So we've got, like, when you're economy picking, it's down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. So it's pretty cool for that once you get, warmed up. And hammers only. So I love that sound, especially when I'm playing over synths. So I'm starting to wander out of the box. So just adding that in for a little alternative extension to that pentatonic idea is great. And then all you got to do is just scale it up round the fretboard, really. So it's like lots of sorry, hands are cold. So I had no chance to heat the room before the session. All right. So I think I'm nearly concluding here. It feels like I've exhausted the foundational thing and I'm going into something else. So, having said that, so what I need people to do is either put comments on this video, what they want to learn, comments in the actual community comments thing on YouTube, if you can put that there, and also join my Discord and put comments, and I will see them. And the way I communicate with the world, right, is pretty much, it's primarily through YouTube. It's through doing these live streams. So I will pick up on it. It will give me ideas for stuff to talk about, which is great because it gives me much more direction on the stream. And I will do plan stuff round anything that you tell me to. All right. So it's just this channel is just dynamic, and it's a brilliant resource. And if I don't know, we'll work it out together. How about that? That'll be a fun thing to do. Yeah, right. So, yeah, so Guffey, I think, adds 4 chromatic notes to it. Yeah, well, it's all the notes. Now, I've deliberately left the chromatic notes out because I think that's a separate thing altogether. Okay, so and that's something I'm wanting to do anyway. Is just because I've been doing quite a bit of chromatic stuff at the minute. So what I can do is I thought I would do a few licks that I can show everybody, and we can break down the ideas behind the chromaticism. So that's going to be good. And, because one thing is I'll take you through the learning process that I've been through to do this. So you'll see how I've done it. And hopefully that'll be relatable. A nice lot there to go through. Great. Thank you, Sean. So, yes, do tell your friends about this channel. Now, I know it's live, and I know there's a lot of fluff, usually at the beginning, that people have to put up with me doing my hair, because it's just part of it. I'm kind of using... Because what I'm doing is I'm using YouTube, right, like as my mirror, to get ready in the morning, to save time. Seriously. So... that's that I've got my monitor here, and it's a perfect mirror. So why use it? I know it looks weird, but actually, what I might do is, like on the important videos, just cut the intros off, so it gets quicker into the lesson, and the algorithm picks it up and does all that kind of stuff. I would do. Like, I'm not very good at sitting down, right, and just doing a content video, right? And I know why, because it just bores me. Like, sitting in here on my own and not connecting with other people is just, like, it's really dull. And then putting it up and then watching the numbers. I like to be in the room, and I like getting the feedback, the constant feedback, both good and bad, from everybody. That's really important. And I think, when you're being a musician, it's a tough game, and one of the things that I find I get the most gains from is actually just exploring the things that fascinate me the most at the time. Doesn't matter what it is, that I'll just do that and I'll exhaust it, and something else will come along and I'll go, right, I'll exhaust that. And you guys have seen me probably do this when you think back over the videos, obsessed with economy picking, legato, hybrid picking, and all of that. And then all the music technology stuff, and building a template, and getting the all of that kind of development over the last sort of, I don't know how long I've been doing it, 2 and a bit, 3 years. You've kind of come along for that journey, and most of it's been based on the interest. I haven't I find it very difficult to do something where I'm not that interested in it, but it might be like an essential thing. I find that doesn't matter as much as kind of focusing on the things that you want to do, and that kind of stuff comes later. That's the intro at this point, yeah. It's my signature thing, just the chaos and doing your hair and like, yeah. And when I do my wins, problems, and opportunities, right, one of my wins will be this top. So I'll probably bulk buy a load more of these. Yeah. Alright, guys, so providing I get up and don't sleep in, because like I'll just, in fact, you know what? Oh, my phone's dead now. See, chaos. I'll make sure I set my alarm to get me up every morning forever at 5:45. So there we go. Alright guys, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to have to go now. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please do a thumbs up, like, that would be amazing. And I'll see you tomorrow, because tomorrow it's a studio session and I'm going to be live looping. And probably playing the 7-string. So I know there's been a few questions, why is Hutch not playing a 7-string? Well, I'm going to be playing all the guitars, alright? And I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow, okay? The guitars. We'll be talking about the guitars. The interesting thing is actually I think everybody knows more about my guitars than I do, so I think it'll be as more educational for me than it will be for you guys. So you can tell me all about my guitars and I'll play them. I'll go, wow, really? It does that? Wow. Is that what it's made out of? I had no idea. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.